what is one thing that, based on the experience that you have and the couples that you've spoken to and people that you've encountered, what is something that causes a lot of infidelity in marriages?
There's a lot of different things. The thing that popped in my head the quickest, and some people won't like it, is loss of physical attraction.
Talk about that. Talk about it. Tell them, please, talk about that.
It's something that the world has shamed people out of being able to be honest about it, right? And it's this whole idea of, well, if you love them, it shouldn't matter, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, love and attraction is two different things. And if attraction didn't matter, then people would be getting with their friends only. Like when you see two people who get along great and they're not in a relationship with each other, and you ask them, why aren't you with that person? Oh, I'm not attracted to them like that. Because that's the ingredient that takes it from platonic to romantic. So now if you start a relationship with attraction and you remove the attraction, you will go from romantic to platonic. You see what I'm saying? And that's why you have people living together, married, they're like roommates. And they try to force themselves to touch each other and do stuff. And they might, and you know, some people, everyone has different levels of what they need to be attracted to their partner. Like there's some guys, they don't care how you look. If you're a woman and you got it between your legs, they going for it. They're good. Other men need more visual stimulation. Same thing with some women. Some women don't care as much. But I can tell you that if the attraction is not there, then the intimacy starts to go down. And then respect starts to waver. Resentment starts to kick in. So it's not just, and so what happens with a lot of couples is that now they're arguing about all this other stuff, right? And then the person goes and cheats. So they make it about what's happening on the surface, but it really started with, you're not attracted to each other anymore. Because if y'all were, we wouldn't have even gotten to this point. You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's at least a huge foundational problem for a lot of people, you know? And it's like they might love their partner. They don't want to necessarily leave their partner because they build a life with them, kids, all these different things, finances are tied up. But with the attraction not being there, they end up entertaining other people.
So if the physical attraction is lost, do you think it can be gained back?
Yeah, if the physical attraction was once there, then it can be regained. But this is where, again, you got to have conversations in the beginning. What I've learned is that everyone has different ideologies of how things should be after marriage, okay? So like I've met a woman who she was 50 years old, but she stayed in the gym. And she kept herself up. And she said to me, she said, man, I can't wait till I get married so I can stop going to the gym.
Why would she say that?
Because that's what I'm saying. Some people's mindset is, yes, I'll do this to get a person, but I don't want to have to keep doing this. If you don't have that conversation with them, you don't know what you're setting yourself up for because you think, oh, she works out now, she's going to keep working out. No, that's not true. Or you think, oh, she dresses like this now, she'll keep dressing like this for me. No. And vice versa on the flip side. Women will assume the man will continue down this path. Like, so I've seen some women get with an athlete and someone who played professionally. And they'll assume, well, okay, that's a part of his lifestyle. But there's a lot of professional athletes that once they're done with all the training. Like they feel like I was forced to do this all my life. Now I finally can take a break. I don't want to do this no more. So now they kind of let themselves go. You know what I'm saying? And if that was a part of her attraction to him, now that's affected. I had another woman one time, she married a man and he had locks. And that's one of the things that she was very much attracted to. I want to say 7 years into the marriage, he comes home, locks gone.
Oh, wow.
She was so pissed off, so hurt, and she was turned off. And from there, things went downhill even more. And it's not to say that was the only issue in their relationship, but that did not help at all. So all that to say, yes, can it be regained? I think so, but also understand it depends on, if it's a physical thing, I think it can be regained. But sometimes attraction is lost because of things that were done or said. That's much harder to bounce back from. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on what triggered the loss of attraction.
That's tough.
So I'm gonna bring up social media.
Okay.
Right. So you know how people view relationships on social media. I want you to give a positive that social media help relationships with, and also a negative.
Okay. Positive is hard. Okay, positive. Positive is it helped people connect more with others. All right.
Dating apps,
Even staying in touch with family and friends. Like, the world is so much more connected today because of social media, dating apps, all these different things. Okay. And therefore it makes it easier when it comes to dating, it makes it easier to meet new people. I just had a client text me today. She finally jumped on a dating app and she had like 400 requests. Okay. Now that's overwhelming, but it just shows like you can't go, there's nowhere she can go and meet 400 new potential guys.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it just supercharged her process as long as she sticks with it. The bad is it I'm gonna give two bads. There's a lot of bads, but I'm gonna give two. It created too many options on the flip side, all right? And too much of an illusion of lifestyle and people and things of that nature. So one thing that I believe is that going back to like a dating app versus meeting in person, when we look at people online, whether it's dating app or social media, our brains tend to look for things to disqualify them because we're analyzing everything. And because we're just looking at a photo, we can sit there and we don't like this, we don't like that. When you meet people in person, your brain tends to go to what you like about them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have time to be breaking down everything else. So it just sticks with what it likes. And then from there, it's can you guys kind of nurture it and grow from there. So I believe connections can be made better in person. As well as in person, you get to feel someone's energy. There's a lot of non-physical things at play that can lead to two people actually connecting, getting along, and building something that you don't have online. So I think that's the downside of online. And then, like I said, the illusion of people and lifestyles, you know, people posting all their good moments. I remember one time I knew a girl, everything on her page was her posting her and husband on these trips, how much they love each other. Whole time they're going through a divorce.
Seriously?
Yeah. Whole time. And not just going through a divorce, like just a toxic marriage.
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah, and you just, and again, it's bad only because now other people feed into fake images being sold to them. So I'll give you an example. Like if a celebrity couple comes out and they're getting divorced, there are people who are literally devastated because they bought into the idea and the illusion that this couple was so perfect and happy. But little do you know, they've been having problems from day one.
The whole time.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so now what it does to some people's brain is, oh, you can't trust love. Or you ever hear dudes, you'll hear some dudes say, well, if Jeff Bezos couldn't keep his wife, no one has a chance.
Yeah, we always see that.
Exactly. And it's like, yo, you have no idea what was going on between those two people. You can't say that just because you saw a few images or read a few headlines. So that's one of the other big downsides of social media and the internet.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. That's tough.
So Stefan, when is it the time for either a female or a male to call it quits?
To me, it's when one or both of you is unwilling to do the work in the relationship. All right? So I think it's important that two people lay out to each other what they need. And again, this goes back to you got to know yourself and know what you need. Too many people are compromising their true desires and needs in trying to make it work, but it's like it's not sustainable. You know what I'm saying? So lay it all out. And if we're like, okay, we can work on these things together and we're both willing to do that, cool. You can keep giving it a try. But if one or more is going to have an issue with what's on that list and what's required of them, there's no point in pushing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have some people who are fighting over trying to convince the other person to give them the things that they want. And it's like, why? Why are we doing that? Mm-hmm. If they're not willing, we got to walk away. We're just wasting time. You know what I'm saying? And some people end up fighting for years before they finally get it. And like, it was never going to come from that person. Or at least not consistently. Because it's not who they are. They're not wired like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You've written over a dozen books. Mm-hmm. Which is your favorite?
Love After Heartbreak.
Why is that?
Because that's the book about healing from your past,
Okay.
which I think is like the most important thing for people to do. And probably the most common issue people are facing is a lack of healing. So I think it's the most powerful, most important book for people to read.